How do we interpret the views of Dr. Zakir Naik? Are his interpretations of religious texts and scientific facts unassailable? Is there a discernible bias in his thinking? These are the questions we will tackle today. Dr. Zakir Naik, a renowned Islamic televangelist and preacher, has a massive following worldwide. He is known for his eloquent speeches, often intertwining religious teachings with scientific facts. However, upon closer scrutiny, one can identify a few glaring issues with his views and interpretations. Firstly, it becomes evident that Dr. Naik often presents his arguments from an extremely biased perspective. This bias is not subtle, and it often tends to overshadow the essence of the points he is trying to make. For instance, when discussing the interpretation of religious texts, Dr. Naik tends to favor his own interpretations rather than considering a broader range of perspectives. To illustrate this point, consider his stance on evolution. A scientifically accepted concept, he disregards it entirely, saying it's merely a theory, not fact. However, in the scientific community, a theory is a well-substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world based on empirical evidence. His dismissal of such a fundamental scientific concept raises questions about his objectivity and understanding of science. Dr. Naik's views also often lack context, making his interpretations seem absolute. By not considering the historical and cultural contexts of religious texts, he often arrives at conclusions that are not only biased, but also narrow-minded. This approach is not only misleading, but also contributes to the propagation of extremist views. Moreover, Dr. Naik's speeches often go unchallenged. The audience rarely cross-questions his views, which allows him to present his interpretations as the ultimate truth. This lack of critical questioning and discourse is concerning, as it promotes a one-sided narrative. Now let's summarize the main points made against Dr. Naik's views. 1. A strong bias is evident in his interpretations, which often leads to skewed perspectives. 1. His dismissal of scientifically accepted concepts like evolution raises questions about his understanding of science. 1. His interpretations often lack context, leading to potentially extremist views. 1. The lack of critical questioning from the audience allows him to present his views as the absolute truth. In conclusion, while Dr. Zakir Naik is undoubtedly a charismatic speaker, a critical analysis of his views reveals a number of issues. His interpretations of religious texts are often biased and lack context. His dismissal of established scientific concepts is concerning, and the lack of critical questioning from his audience allows him to propagate these views unchecked. It's important to approach his speeches with a critical mind and question the views presented.